So, as we think about deploying a virtual desktop using Horizons, there are a number of things we're going to need. We're going to need one or more desktop VMs as desktop master templates, either for the sake of cloning them or for the sake of so that each user, if a user has a specific VM that they use all the time, that. Alternatively, if you don't know how many, you know a certain desktop, but you don't know how many of them you need or how many users you're going to have, you can use a master template to generate a new VM on command. You're also going to need desktop pools. At bare minimum, you're going to need one for your full clones and one for your linked clones. If you have a number of different types of desktops that you need to present to your users, you may need a full or a pair of pools for each image, shall we say. Because what we're essentially doing is trying to find a way to streamline the process of deploying operating system images to our users. Faster than, say, the slightly newer Ghost Fog method, where you take a single image and you push it to physical machines across the network. Now that we've removed the physical machines from the equation, you still need that library of images. This is what your templates and your desktop pools are for. You're also going to need, as a task, to create user VMs from those template masters. And you're going to add those VMs to the appropriate pools. So you've got your templates, you've got your pools, you've got your user VMs created from the templates, put into the pools. And then you have to find a way to give your users access to the appropriate virtual desktop. This is when we're talking about AAA, authentication, authorization, and auditing. This is the part at which we move from authentication, say the user logs into the Active Directory, to authorization. The user is presented with a specific kind of desktop, virtual or otherwise, inside the Active Directory. Now, one thing we're going to do here, you're going to prepare your virtual desktop machine template. Build a VM with the settings you need, with the software you need, so that you can turn that thing into a template to be used with your VDI. Once you have that template, you can create your pools. Put your users, give your users or groups permissions to use the VMs in those pools. Create the VMs and put them in the pool. Now, you're going to want to install the Horizon client on the devices that will be used to access those virtual. Now, so when you're backing up a step, as you're preparing the virtual machine desktop template, you need to have the Horizon agent in it, or the Horizon client on the device the user is using will have nothing to talk to. And finally, last step, test the system. You don't have an information system until you know you do. You don't know that you do until you've tested it. And don't just have your technicians test it. Have your users test it on the basis of instructions you've written for them. If they, now you may also need to train them on this, but particularly if you don't have any long involved training on the process, if all you have is a user and a how-to document, the user walking through that how-to document is both a test of your documentation and a test of the system. Because if they can't follow your instructions and get to the thing they need to do their work, you either have written bad instructions, or you haven't built the system appropriately, or both. So test your system, test your documentation, let your users test it. Because your technicians may know enough to fill in the gaps in incomplete sets of instructions. So one of the good things about technicians and technically savvy people is they can deal with incomplete instruction sets. The bad thing is, if you write an instruction set and have your technicians test it, they may not be able to tell you that it is incomplete. On the other hand, if they are savvy and they notice the incompletion and they can tell you, oh yeah, you forgot to tell me to do this, but I knew, so I did it, and they can help. They may be good beta testers, but they are not good, or they may be good alpha and beta testers. They are not good user acceptance testers. Anyway, so that's testing. Let's get back to how do we access our virtual desktops. Our desktop pools. These are collections of desktops managed by your connection server. Now you can define the resources that will be used by those VMs, the applications they'll use, the printers they're attached to, the parts of the network they can go to, if they've got shared drives and all that stuff. Now you can also create either manual full clone pools. Say, for example, a pool of full clones that you've built manually that you don't have to, you're just going to give each user a standalone VM. That's going to take up more space. The alternative solution is linked clones or automated clones, in which you have a template and a parent, and it will generate a linked clone when you need it. And depending on your persistence, it may remove that clone from existence when you're done with it, or simply revert it to another state. Now you can get to these through a web interface, like for example the remote desktop web access component. You basically go to hostname/rdweb, and boom, you've got your VM right here. It kind of looks like a remote desktop connection, but it really isn't. And actually strike that it is a remote desktop, because it's going to look a bit like this. You can give it instructions. What can the remote computer access on the local computer? Drives, your microphone, your printers, your clipboard, etc. And so there's that. And then you'll just use it as you need it. Make sure you understand the needs of your customers, so you build the right kinds of systems in the right quantities, whether they're going to be a library of full clones, a library of static linked clones, a template, and the ability to generate new linked clones at will. All of these solutions are right, may be right for certain kinds of use cases. So pay attention to your user requirements, what they tell you they want, ask them, as it were, what problem they need the system to solve. And then on the basis of the problems that they need the system to solve, then you can design the solution that will do that. Whether it is, as I said, a pool of fully separate standalone linked clones taking up lots of full clones taking up lots of space in your data store, or a battery of linked clones with or without persistence, or your master template, your customization specification, and the ability to generate new VMs at will. There's frequently no right answer, as long as you've done your homework to understand what that user's right answer ought to be. So thanks. This is the end of the VMware Horizon section of the lecture. The next 3 videos will be the Microsoft VDI, and then we're going to summarize, and then finally move on to Chapter 10, which is Cloud. So thanks for watching, and have a good evening.